Really? Are you sure? Okay.
Two people only English or?
Yeah.
Free. Okay. So let's do it in English. Welcome here to this awesome IoT talk. We are talking about open source home automation today, and we are four guys, four little technicians who started to make a nice project about 2 years ago. And these four little technicians, they saw a world full of communication problems. There are a lot of devices around us and they don't know how to talk with each other, and this is causing some problems. And we started to solve that problem by initiating an open source software. Open source is the future. By the way, one question: who has a smart home system at home already? That's not bad. Who knows the Philips Hue? Who knows Flat Out? Who knows who? That was more joke. Yeah. All right. So these four technicians, they stepped on the road and they went and they started to think and to program, and how could you make this world a better place, and how can you make those awesome devices work together. And more or less, I guess most of you guys are technicians, am I right or not? Who is a technician? All right. So what we did is a middleware stack, protocol stack. So the software is more or less a, let's say, language translator. It understands different M2M, like machine-to-machine languages. So, and we did a good job. I think we did a good job. So now the devices are working together and they are all happy. By the way, now we are Ubuntu partner. Ubuntu likes what we are doing. We made one of the first Snappy apps. Who knows Snappy or Ubuntu Core? One. That's awesome. Please look it up on Google. Google made a small operating system called Brillo. It's like a very tiny OS which fits on every device, or almost every device. And Ubuntu was doing mostly the same by making a very tiny operating system which can be run on more or less everywhere. So, who knows OpenHub? That's bad, because OpenHub is the real, let's say, in the open source scene, OpenHub is the state of the art for home automation stuff. The bad thing, so the good thing is OpenHub understands a lot of languages, but it is not usable for non-programmers. So we can deal with that stuff, but normal people can't. And what is GUIO in detail? We can play around with all that stuff a little bit later, and I will show it and go into detail. GUIO, as I said, is a middleware stack, and it is more or less like an operating system you're used to, which is like on a normal computer machine. An operating system, or the purpose of the operating system, is nothing else than it knows all its hardware, like the graphic drivers, the hard disks and stuff, and it knows this stuff, and it deals with it correctly, and it combines everything to a running system. GUIO is more or less the same. So, first, it has a device manager. The devices are not hard disk and stuff.
Question, does it interface to OpenHAB or OpenHAB, or is it completely?
No, it's completely standalone.
Can you repeat the question can you repeat my question, because it's not
So it is not necessary to run OpenHub to use GUIO. Not right now, but maybe in the future. Yeah. So GUIO is complete standalone. It's from the very beginning a new development. The reason is very simple. OpenHub is pretty old, like almost 2 decades, and it is pretty big. Let's just say it's big. It runs more than 70 threads, if I'm right, and it uses a lot of RAM and stuff. So it is very hard to deal with OpenHub as a home server. If you might if you want to run it on Raspberry or even on tinier devices. GUIO is more on the lean side. So the first thing is the device manager. So it is not dealing with hard disk or graphic cards, it is dealing with, let's say, the Philips Hue, the Vimo switches, all this smart home stuff, and this is growing and growing and growing. More smart home devices are coming into the market, and it's going to be an awesome thing. I guess the next 10 years are very exciting. And the device manager recognizes this stuff, GUIO knows how to deal with that stuff, and you can decide upon what should happen if I'm entering the room, and let's say I have some lights and I have some sensors, and I want my home to interact with me, like from alone by an app and stuff. Yeah, some other things I'm not going into detail that, My English is sometimes pretty bad. I should have had a beer before. The nice thing, I was talking about the interface. So we are focusing on user experience pretty hard. Open source is not well known for user experience and for great apps and stuff, but we are doing that. We're trying to do that in a better way. So this is the typical stuff. GUIO serves a JSON RPC API or a REST API. We have a dedicated app. So it's a beta app for Android, and we have a web interface. And this is growing and growing and growing. Yeah, that's the way how to talk with GUIO. Now the more interesting part, what can I do with it? The nice thing with GUIO is that we were focusing on user experience, and on the other side, we were making kind of plug-in systems. So how can you attach more devices to GUIO, or let's say, how can you attach more devices to your smart home? And these are the plugins which are served right now. Of course, this is growing pretty fast because the open source community is not standing still, and since we are Ubuntu partners and stuff, people like to work with GUIO, so this is growing and growing and growing, and I guess some of the things are well known already. It is nice, for example, I have the Raspberry here running Kodi, this media center system, and GU of course, and it can interact with Kodi as well. So if the sun goes down, then the blinds are closed automatically, Kodi is like enabled, and I can watch movies and I don't have to push any button anymore. Next interesting thing, where can I run GUIO? Who has a Raspberry? Yeah, that's the best thing to try. I don't have internet here, and that's a bit... it is pretty simple to install GUIO on the Raspberry. Just go to, I will show you some links later, github.com/gu/gu/wiki. There you will find everything. For example, an install script. It's just a little file which is put on a SD card, and then you plug it into the Raspberry Pi, connect it with the internet, and it takes 3/4 of an hour, but it's taking all actual libs, and it's building a whole new Debian system with out-of-the-box running GUIO. Then you just open the app and it's working. That's a nice thing. Of course, you can install it on an existing Debian version or other things. So what I have here is the Ubuntu core system, which is pretty new. Ubuntu is releasing a Snappy store in, I guess, somewhere in the fall. I'm not sure about that. This is like a ultra cool app system like you're used to from the Play Store or the Apple Store. Then of course Raspberry, BeagleBone, Solid Run, all these embedded devices, or on a normal computer, Linux machine. Well, the roadmap of GUIO, everything is working pretty nice already. The graphic user interfaces, they have to evolve a little bit more, that it is even more fun. But the next steps are multi-language and multi-user, so you don't want your child to interact with your heating system, for example, or let's say some security issues if you have self-made security system. You don't want your kids to play around with that. And the next things are CoAP and Zigbee, so more protocols. CoAP is ultra cool, you might know it from OS Domotics guys. They're dealing a lot with that stuff. Zigbee is very nice, so direct Zigbee support for light links, that you can skip the Philips Hue gateway and stuff like that. Yeah, here are some links, and then we start to play around, I would say. Please keep that in mind. If you want to play around, everything is made up on tutorials, so if you are interested, if you have played around with it, if you like it, then you can write your own plugins. It's pretty easy if you're able to read and write C++. It is written in Qt, so it's even more easy. And there are 5 tutorials how to write a plugin, so a minimal plugin to give a kind of text message to Kodi or something like that. And on the wiki there are several ways how to install GUIO on different platforms and stuff. Yeah, I will show one nice tool now. No, come on. Can we see that? Icons are still missing, but the interface is working, and we set up, for example, you have said that most of you know the Philips Hue, and what is built in here, for example, is a normal LED strip. You can buy it everywhere on eBay or AliExpress or whatever. These fucking cheap LED strips, they are really nice to play around with. I have a lot of them in my home. And there, for example, if you use GUIO for that, there are 2 ways. There is one way which is very, very cheap. This is Chinaware, basically it costs like nothing. The strip is, I don't know, $8. And this is a 433 megahertz receiver. I have no clue how much this is, but
$15.
Yeah, 15, so like nothing. This is the cheap way. Just an example how to control these LED strips. And for example, yeah, you can do pretty much everything. Here is some nice finger flash. Yeah. But a cooler possibility, I don't have it here because our Philips Hue gateway is on the road. This is a really nice thing. It's from Dresden Electronics, and this understands the Philips Hue protocol. It is a little bit more expensive, but if you attach your LED strip here, you have also with the GU app like a color fading stuff, and it has much nicer colors even with the cheap LED strips. That's one example, and another very cool example to play around with. It's basically a bad protocol. It's 433 megahertz stuff, but it's cheap, and that's nice to start with. This is a Brennstuhl gateway. You can attach it to your router. This is around 50 euro, I guess, 40, 50. It can do nothing, basically. So technically speaking, it's really a dumb device, but it's just a sender. So if you attach this to your router and GUIO is running, just wait a few seconds until the LED is going out, hopefully. With that 433 megahertz gateway, you can play around with pretty much everything you can get in the Conrad store, for example. If you walk through the Conrad and you see this how's it called, switches, wall plug switches and stuff. You can, yeah, you can put it everywhere. Where is it now? For example, that or not. That's always the case if you want to show it. Let's take this one. Normally it is my ha ha ha. Okay. And I will do it by app. As I said, native Android app is available. It's a better version, but it's working. And where is it now? Okay, the gateway is not running right. Can you have a look on that and maybe restart the stuff? As I said, it's pretty cheap. Okay. Anyway, we attached one of the socket plugs to this slide and one of this, and I will play around while the other guys are talking a little bit. So, one nice thing for developers is, it is more or less an AP debug tool, but it's very powerful already. Can you see that? It's basically a debug tool, but it can do everything. This gateway is still not available. But for example, you see all the devices here. For example, all configured devices, and it gives you everything which is installed or attached. So this is now not looking good because the type is so big. Or you can create rules. So if the sun is going down, it knows it from Open Weather Web and do something like this. I have a rule: if it is not cloudy, then open the blinds. If it is cloudy, then close it for the winter time to keep the heat in the house and stuff like that. This is a debug tool. This is working great, so even if the app is not working like expected, this can do everything. And for the first try, this is a nice thing for me. So, I think I will quit here. If you have some questions, please let me know.
Is your framework running on the device in the middle? Or?
Can you repeat the questions so that we have them on the table?
And the problem was the WLAN device. Which device made the problems? The WLAN device?
Now this router is making some problems.
Okay.
This little Brennenstuhl gateway. Okay. Well, I can restart the system. Maybe then I can touch the
Simon, whom are you targeting with your solution?
Well, the open, it is...
Sorry, to repeat the question. Whom are you targeting with your solution? So is it mainly developers, let's say more advanced users, or industry partners?
Yeah, it is open source and it will stay open source, so it targets the developer scene in the first approach. Of course, we're using that in products. We made a startup out of it, you know it, the tune stuff, and so we're using the software elsewhere, but the money we are getting is from different revenues. The software itself should stay open source. It has several issues. The first one is the privacy stuff. We don't want to have Google servers in our house or Apple servers. Basically, we are a bit struggling with the fact that every how should I say that? Every sensor input is going through a server, or every user input by app or something else is going through the server in the house and stuff. We want to run the stuff locally. The goal, like the business, is through Ubuntu. We want to run GUIO on more or less every device because it upgrades, let's say, TV boxes or smart TVs or stuff like that. It upgrades more or less every device which contains a processor to a smart home server. And that's the goal.
Any more questions? So you're in the room and we can discuss later. So let's make 10 minutes break and then we come to the next one.